This is the Queensland edition of Nine's Morning News with Eva Milic.
Good morning. The search for a missing light aircraft pilot northwest of Gympie is continuing today, with authorities scouring areas in central and southern Queensland. For more, Shannon Marshall-McCormack joins us on the phone. Shannon, has there been any sign of him?
Well, Eva, no, not so far. The search was supposed to continue overnight, involving a fixed-wing aircraft with an infrared camera, but that was thwarted by bad weather overnight. So at first light this morning, when the weather had cleared a bit more, 16 aircraft, including 11 helicopters, got off the ground and went to look out for Robert Pavan. Now, the 60-year-old went out on Saturday morning. He was supposed to head to Dixie west of Gladstone, about a 90-minute trip. He headed out in his Jabiru twin-seater, but about 60 or so minutes into that flight, we lost contact with him. His plane went missing, and from there on, some of his friends raised the alarm. Now, this morning, the search has moved now into its third day and now involves Queensland Fire and Emergency Service, search and rescue operators there, going out with some of these helicopters to try and look for any sighting of the plane or Robert himself. But they say the terrain is extremely difficult to see anything through. There's a lot of hillsides, a lot of mountains, and a lot of bushland. Let's have a listen to what the Australian Maritime Safety Authority had to say about this Andrea Hayward-Maher.
There is, the possibility that he is in an area without communications, but there are other more serious scenarios that we're looking at.
Now, the weather this morning, it keeps coming in and out of sun and rain. At the moment, it doesn't look that great. All of those helicopters have landed for the moment as they refuel, and the teams do a debrief before heading back up. But they say they will keep searching for Rob Pavan until they find him or his plane. Eva.
OK, Shannon, thank you. Religious leaders will give evidence today as the Royal Commission into Child Sex Abuse at St Joseph's Nicole Orphanage resumes. Last week, former Rockhampton Bishop Brian Heenan admitted to giving one priest at Nicole, Reg Durham, a glowing character reference despite knowing he had sexually abused a young girl. We have some breaking news now. Two men have been sentenced over a brawl in Sydney involving NRL player Jamil Hopewati. Luke and John Akiguola were charged over the fight outside the Ivan Hotel in Manly in February last year. They were this morning sentenced to a year and 9 months and a year and 4 months, respectively. Former Seagulls player Hopewati has already been sentenced to at least 12 months behind bars after he pleaded guilty to 2 assault charges. Australia and Iran will share intelligence in the fight against the Islamic State as part of a deal brokered by Julie Bishop during historic meetings with high-level Iranian officials. Live now to Kerry Axley in Canberra. Kerry, what does this agreement involve?
Yeah, good morning to you, Eva. Well, mainly it's about swapping intelligence on Australians who are in Iraq fighting with ISIL. Julie Bishop says that the government had actually begun work on this deal back in October. And overall, Julie Bishop said that this trip was successful. It was the first visit by an Australian foreign minister in over 10 years, Eva. OK, Kerry, thank you. Queensland continues to lag behind in the latest State of the States report from CommSec, which looks at factors including economic growth, retail spending and unemployment. Live to Shane Doherty. Shane, how do we rate compared to the rest of the country?
Well, 5th out of 8 states and territories, Eva, sort of put a dampener on the Premier's trip here to Coorparoo State School, where she was launching the Premier's Readership Awards, which is encouraging children to read 20 books each by the end of August. This CommSec report is the one that we've all read, though, showing no improvement over the last government's term on those key issues that you just mentioned. The Premier says there is some light in the tunnel in some aspects, like construction, but coming 5th in an 8-horse race is never good in anybody's language. And here's what she had to say.
We need to do better. The Treasurer will be making further comments in relation to that. But what I can say is that flowing on from COAG on Friday, I fought very hard for Queensland and we've come out on top.
And Shane, the government is continuing its search for a new CCC boss.
Well, the Premier tells us they've had a lot of applications for the job of Dr Ken Levy. This is the CCC boss that was put on under some controversial circumstances by the former Premier Campbell Newman. But as I say, the Premier says that we have a lot of applications to replace him. Coincidentally, the CCC has put out what it's been up to just since September of last year, and it has made 25 corruption investigations. 55 people have been charged with 200 criminal charges, including a 36-year-old former Queensland health employee who was jailed 2 years for claiming $40,000 in overtime that she didn't work. So, Eva, the CCC there proving that they're still on the job, still making convictions.
Indeed. Shane, thank you. Here's a quick look at the weather across the country. Rain at times in Brisbane, aiming for just 22 degrees. Wet and windy in Sydney. 16 the top for Melbourne and Hobart. Showers easing, 18 degrees in Adelaide. Darwin 33 and stormy. Perth sunny, 28. Still to come in Nine's Morning News Hour, a baby girl fighting for life after a car ploughs into her family home. A mother's harrowing ordeal why Jessica Silva stabbed her partner to death. Her incredible interview with 60 Minutes next. And 20 years on, survivors of the Oklahoma bombing remember the day that changed America forever. A 4-month-old baby girl is fighting for life after a car ploughed into the bedroom of her Geelong family home southwest of Melbourne. The little girl was sleeping with her parents when the vehicle came crashing through the property. Neri Tai has the details.
It was just after 8:30 last night when an out-of-control car came...
Because it was such a tragedy that day.
Just ahead, chilling new claims about the Australian teenagers behind an alleged foiled terror attack targeting Anzac Day commemorations. And Jeremy Clarkson breaks his silence, claiming a cancer scare triggered that temper tantrum. Two of the Melbourne teens arrested over the Anzac Day terror plot allegedly scoped out 2 police stations as sites for a possible attack.
This time, he crossed the line.
Up next, the desperate search for a missing pilot northwest of Gympie, the latest from our reporter on the ground. The rescue you have to see to believe. A woman pulled from her wrecked car just seconds before it explodes into flames. And retracing the travels of our Anzac heroes, the Outback Troop Train's next stop on a special Queensland journey. Welcome back to the Queensland edition of Nine's Morning News. These are our top stories. Fears are growing this morning for the pilot of a light aircraft who went missing after taking off from Gympie on Saturday. The pilot is experienced and had only just completed a trip around Australia. The Royal Commission into Child Sex Abuse at St Joseph's Nicole Orphanage is today likely to hear from religious leaders as hearings resume in Rockhampton. And more than friends, we're family. They're the words Tony Abbott has used to describe our relationship with New Zealand during Anzac commemorations in Wellington ahead of his arrival in Gallipoli. Queensland authorities are continuing to search for the pilot of a light aircraft missing since he left Gympie on Saturday. Shannon Marshall-McCormack joins us now on the phone. Shannon, what is the latest from the search zone?
Well, Eva, I can tell you some breaking news. The authorities here really are ramping up the search now. They've just announced that they're going to actually create a new staging area for an additional 9.
There are growing fears for the lives of as many as 700 migrants after their boat capsized in the Mediterranean Sea. European leaders have called for urgent action to tackle the crisis as a massive search and rescue effort continues in the area. Ashlyn Krukellis has the latest.
It's feared this could be one of the Mediterranean's deadliest peacetime disasters. This fishing boat was attempting to take up to 700 migrants. The reality is stark and therefore action must be bold.
Draft plans have finally been released for a long-awaited instrument landing system at Gold Coast Airport, allowing planes to land in bad weather. And ILS uses radio signals to line planes up with a runway, even when it can't be seen by the pilot. At the moment, flights often have to be diverted to Brisbane or the Sunshine Coast whenever a storm sweeps over Coolangatta. There are mixed results for Queensland this morning in ComSec's latest quarterly State of the States Index. Let's go live to Shane Doherty. Shane, what does the report reveal?
Well, it says, Eva, that we are coming fifth in an 8-horse race when it comes to the is on the list. Eva? OK, plenty more to come from this, Shane. Thank you. There were chaotic scenes in Hervey Bay this morning after a school bus crashed into the front yard of a home just before 8:30. Police say the bus hit a light pole after being forced to avoid a tow truck which had failed to give way. There were children on board, but thankfully no one was injured. A lucky escape this morning for a motorcyclist who came off his bike just after 7 in the slippery conditions on Eagle Street. Police and paramedics were called. The rider was taken to hospital as a precaution and didn't suffer any serious injuries. Time for sport now with Sam, and Daly Cherry Evans opens up about his future.
There were bizarre scenes at Manly this morning, Eva, as the halfback fronted the media. We'll get the latest on his potential backflip next. Ricardo smokes it up at the Bahrain Grand Prix. And a Fed Cup shock for our Aussie girls.
Honouring our fallen heroes. This Anzac Day we pay special tribute to our servicemen and women on the 100th anniversary of the Gallipoli landing.
Join 9 News for special coverage of the dawn service.
Live from Anzac Square at 4:25 a.m, a chance to remember, lest we forget.
Speculation surrounding the future of Manly playmaker Daly Cherry Evans continues, despite the rep star giving a carefully worded statement at Sea Eagles headquarters this morning. Rob Canning was there.
Well, it's certainly been another bizarre day here at Manly, with Daly Cherry Evans making a brief statement regarding the speculation
First time Australia has not made the group stage of the tournament since 2012. Really disappointing there. Sam Stosur, of course, had to pull out with injury. The word is, though, she will be fit and firing, ready to go in time for the French Open, Eva.
OK, hopefully. They've got a busy program after that,
Sure
so I
is.
hope it's onwards and upwards. Thank you, Sam. Up next, I'll have a check of the latest finance figures and this morning's weather details. To the weather now, and first a look at the charts. A broad area of cloud is feeding a rain band that lies over southern Queensland, northeast New South Wales, while some brisk southerlies in the wake of a front are causing a few showers in southern parts of the country. Today, rain at times in Brisbane, aiming for just 22 degrees. Wet and windy in Sydney, 16 the top for Melbourne and Hobart. Showers easing, 18 degrees in Adelaide. Darwin 33 and stormy Perth, a sunny 28. Tomorrow, a shower or two in Cairns, 29. A possible morning shower for Brisbane, 23. Sydney rain, aiming for 18. Just a little overcast in Hobart. Sunny in Adelaide and to the west. Further ahead, 25 and clear in Brisbane midweek. Just a little warmer Thursday and Friday. The slight chance of a shower on Anzac Day, 16 to 27 degrees. And at this stage, it is looking sunny on Sunday. Taking a quick look at finance, the stock market has started the week lower. The All Ords is down almost 54 points. Our dollar's buying 78 US cents. And the average price for unleaded petrol in Brisbane is just under $1.30, about the same on the Gold Coast. And that's our Queensland edition of 9's Morning News Hour. Amber Sherlock will have 9 News Now at 3 p.m. and I'll be back with the afternoon bulletin just after 4 o'clock. I'm Eva Milic. Thanks for your company. Hope to catch you again shortly.